Hello everyone, I'm Damini, your host for today, and today I have with me Mr. Siddharth Sijoria. So thank you so much, sir, for accepting my invitation and joining on this channel.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, sir. So without taking your much time, because today is Sunday, so I won't take you much time. So would you mind sharing your law school journey with us?
So law school journey, I would say that law came to me as a law. Like it was not something which I have specifically chosen, but I got into law somehow. So law school for me in journey, I think it was more sort of a personal development in many respects, where you actually come raw as a person with limited experience. And once you go to law school, I mean, for me, who has always stayed in one school, so to make a shift and come meet people from different places in India. So it's very changing experience and it actually matures you as an individual. And apart from that, I think I got interest in literature, reading, and some issues regarding politics. So all these things which I was unconcerned with, I think once I take the decision to become, to be a lawyer or to study law, I think everything that a lawyer required started coming to me and I started liking it. So I would say that law school journey was like preparation to enter into this profession. And I think it came to me without struggling with it because I started enjoying reading.
Okay, so sir, like those who will be watching this video, they'll surely ask you, like they surely have this mind, like what sort of activities you were engaged in? Were you doing mooting? Were you doing publications? Or what sort of activities you were doing?
So I'll tell you, like when we were there in law school, we were like, I think today students even know about moot courts and other activities which are there. But when we came, like back in 2010, these were the things that actually came to us after we entered the law school, like for me specifically. So I would say that all these activities were very important because for me, I had this I had this fear of public speaking. So I thought moot court would be a way of actually getting out of that fear and being able to speak publicly. So mooting for me was more like a personal enriching experience for developing honing my own skills. And when you look at publications, I think what I would say that about publications and what I seriously believe is that there is a rat race about publication, and one should not just publish because people are publishing. Publication should be such that you should write. If you spend 5 years in law school and if you write two good papers which are published in good journals, that would speak for itself. If you send your application to someone and somebody will read, okay, you have published 10, 20 articles, but in random journals that no one has ever heard of, just because now you can even pay for getting your journals published. So, but if somebody says, okay, you have published one essay in Amsterdam University or in Oxford University, so that would give a different reflection about your own self, because publication is all about showing your academic value as a person who's interested academically. So that is one thing. So if you're interested in the legal sphere, like you want to be litigation lawyer, for that you need to hone other skills, and you wouldn't want to spend much time on writing academic big pieces because then you would more focus on short articles. So I would say that if anybody, I'm just talking about my own experience that I have been through, and this is what I make of it, that if I was myself, if I keep myself 5 years, 10 years down the line, when I was a law student, I would have focused on writing two good papers, but I would have made sure that in those 5 years, those two publications should have been in good universities or good journals. So that is one thing that I would say.
So, like your law school journey was such that, you actually got to know like about the moot courts and other things while joining, right? But so what about the internships? Like how many internships you did? Because internships are also an integral part of law school nowadays. People are actually struggling to get internships, right? So what was the scene at that time?
So I'll tell you very honestly, like when I joined law, like I was very curious also about everything and how things will turn out. And I was like, I never thought where to apply and how you get internships. And the idea of internships, I got to know once I and my few friends got to know that, okay, we need to submit a diary. So we all three went for the first time to NCW, National Commission for Women. And we got to know that, okay, you need to apply like 6-7 months before to get there. But I don't know, unfortunately, like I just, because I saw that lady who was just supposed to give internships, and she just told me, okay, I admire your enthusiasm. So she allowed us to be there. So she allowed us to intern for a month. So I think that was one of the important things, that when I started interning, then I interned at NCW. And then I think you start getting to know what you want to do. So I met there a lady who told me about her husband's NGO, Shakti Vahini, who was involved in rescuing minors from prostitution. So I worked there and submitted my report on the issue of prostitution in India and trafficking. And then I then realized that, okay, I would want to do criminal litigation. So I did my internship in my second year with a criminal lawyer in Delhi High Court, which was very good experience, because I didn't know the lawyer. I got to know about that lawyer because somebody recommended me to go and work with them, because I'm telling you, this is the first 2 years of a clueless person who just entered law school. And then I met this criminal lawyer, and fortunately that person was the lawyer for Kalmadi and A. Raja, who were the main accused in 2G scam and Commonwealth scam scheme. So I think these things came to me, and I was exposed to good people in the early beginning, so that I could choose where you would see the best quality of legal work. Then I started deciding what I would want to do. In my third year, I worked with the trial court lawyer, where I got very good experience. And then fourth year was a changing experience for me, because I started working in the Supreme Court, and I got to work with Mr. T.R. Rujane as a junior. So I worked with him, and I worked like every day after work, I would work with him. Every day after college, I would go to his chamber work. So I think after that, I never interned in some other chamber, and after graduation, I started working with him, which is one of the perks of being in Delhi, that you get to meet the people who are very good at their law practice in Delhi. So that is one of the good things about studying in Delhi.
Okay, but no offenses for those who are actually apart from Delhi, right?
Of course.
Because you can surely travel to Delhi nowadays very easily.
I think you can now be online and you can travel anywhere in the world. So
yeah, even now, virtual internships are there, so you can actually do that as well. So no offenses for those viewers, for sure. Okay.
No, so I think that comes with an additional benefit. I mean, nothing.
Yeah, exactly. The additional benefit for sure, because you can go for offline internship anytime after your college, right? If you're staying in Delhi. So that's very objective in a way, yeah. So, sir, to be on a more informal note of this conversation, I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions, and you quickly have to answer them. So you need not to mention the name of that professor, but you surely need to tell me, was there any professor in your college who used to cut your attendance even if you don't talk? This happens with me, but still asking you.
I'll tell you that I think one thing that I'll be very honest with you, the only professors who would cut attendance would be the one who would be in class at 9:15 and then you enter at 9:20, 9:25. So those professors used to get very pissed in the morning. So they would actually not allow you. So there were not many, but there was some cranky.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're late to the class, and they wouldn't realize that you're a day scholar, not someone who's staying in hostel. So that used to be very pestering for some, because I used to from one end of the city to another in the morning. So yeah, I think there were people like that, and there were some bad days for some professors who would get picky about somebody talking in the class. So I think those were some of.
And you know what, even if you're not using your mobile phone, but you just have that mobile phone in your hand, you won't get attendance. And that feeling is something which I can't even explain in words. Because you attended the whole class, and when just 5 minutes are left, right? You get to know that you're not getting attendance. So this is something that's actually very horrible. But sir, to be on a more informal note, you did okay. Okay. But what about the best experience you ever actually felt during these years? Maybe in the professional life or the personal, sorry, not asking you the personal life, but yeah, maybe what sort of best experience you ever got that you remember it till date?
The best experience that, there have been many, but some experiences are there which leave an imprint in your mind that also let you feel that at one particular day of the, in your lifetime, you felt that way. So that one memory that has always stick to me is the first time when I was an intern with Mr. Rujina, and he asked me to do some research, and I did a research. And the day he came, he wrote me a check of 5,000 rupees. I was still a fourth year law student. So he gave it to me and he said, "This is for the research and the help you gave me." So that was one of the best experiences that I had. And now the worst experience would be in the same flow would be that his junior, who was his junior then, and he came to me and he said, "What judgment did you give to sir?" Because that judgment that you gave to sir was not required, because that judgment was against us. So you gave him a judgment that he cited to the court, because the court asked if there is something that exists against our client, and my senior gave a judgment that I had given to him to read, which he himself gave to the judge. So I'm just telling you that the research that I gave to my senior was a research that was against his own case, but still he appreciated it. And he rewarded me with, first time I received some monetary check. So that was one of the best experience, that, you need to do your good job, no matter where it is against your back.
Okay, so you need to tell me as to, if I just put a simple equation before you, as to lawyer is equal to what?
Lawyer is equal to someone who knows what is. A lawyer is someone who need to understand that it is not very good to be always idealistic. It's someone who needs to understand what the person needs. Your client comes with certain, and you need to know that as a person, there would be many instances in your life when you read a case and you will realize there's nothing in this case, nothing can be done. But you need to match up to a fight. And I would tell you that this is what my personal experience has been, that the more you will read, you will get more confused, and the more confused you will be at times, you are able to make arguments to the court which might sound very logical. And in law, when you go for a case admission, or you're going to argue for a case which should be admitted or denied, at the first hearing, if you're able to make an impression that the question deserves to be, discussed and decided, that is the way. You should not look at the end. You'd always look at if you can make a logical conclusion, logical argument that this case should be learned. So I think it's always knowing what your client wants, never to decide before doing your research. So these are the two things that I would say is a must for every person who's looking forward to being a lawyer.
And
Otherwise,
yeah.
Otherwise, I'll just add something. Like, I was a lawyer, and first time I got some case, and my client has lost in the lower court, in the high court, then in the appeal in the high court, and he wanted to come to Supreme Court. So I told my another senior, that, like a colleague in the chamber, that this is what I've got. Should I take it? Because I don't see there is any prospect of me winning, because the client is lost. So he told me, look, if you won't take it, somebody else will take it. So, because the client needs to get his issue read. You should not be doubting your client's case. Your job as a law officer is to present what is being told to you and do your best as per your capabilities. Exactly. This is what I wanted.
And so, if not law, then what other sort of profession you would have gone for?
If not law, then I think I would have, I realized it after, I told you, my entrance to law was something which was not decided free. This was not something that I wanted to do. But I think after going to law school, I realized that I would not have mind doing an English literature before
actually starting. Very different from the answers which I've got till now. English literature.
So I would have loved to do it, and maybe after that I might join law. But I think this is something that I feel that 5-year law wouldn't give you. I think 6-year law looks like, okay, you are giving one more year to the profession. But I feel that personally, that I think 3-year law course is also very important, because you can actually see around and look around if you're not very sure about doing law. Exactly. So I think I would have loved to do English literature, read about it, and it really, it does build your capacity to read and reason and logic, because literature allows you to travel so many different places sitting at one place. So I think whoever is listening, even if you're not doing literature or anything else, but you're still doing law, take law lightly, take literature seriously, because
Okay.
it's all about how you look at things. And once you are out there interning or doing other stuff, you will become a lawyer. This is what, but I think you should read more literature if you're interested, or read anything, but start making, start reading. This is what I would say.
And so, like, if I just give you a hypothetical situation that yes, you are the producer or a director of a film, what sort of theme would you like to portray in your film?
Theme or anything that I would like to portray for a film. See, I've been thinking about lately about. See, I actually decided one day that I would. It's a very stupid logic, but maybe so. I would say that okay, if you like, I've seen the rural parts. I've come through rural areas in India, so I've seen that people are never aware of what is right, in the sense of a right that they actually do not deserve, but they have got it. So people are relying on someone that they consider higher in the pedestal of society for any kind of thing that they receive from society. So my point was that I used the idea of Bharat of a democracy, where you actually spread out about constitution values, right? Where you Bharat mein, because you see that individuals who are there, they actually are very jubilous, and once you are in a mood of jubilant, you would try to express yourself more freely than you are letting yourself be, retracted to something, reduced to something which mostly people are. So you will see in villages when there is a Bharat, or if there is any kind of festivity going around, people are free, they're happy. And when they're free, happy, they're able to let things come and seep into their head. So I think I had this very crazy idea of having a democracy ki Bharat kind of a thing, where you actually carry out, and where this guy who takes out Bharat about democracy, and he tells and shouts from the mic with music on, and letting people understand that they're not the subjects, but someone who are citizens for whom the constitution was made. This was some of the weird idea that I had.
This is something like actually fascinates me, because like democracy ki Bharat is something like I've heard for the very first time. But this is something that needs to be, conveyed to everyone so that everyone can start thinking about the same. And I must say that I'm just saying it live in front of others, that the other session would be based on this democracy ki Bharat with you for sure. I'm surely going to book a slot for this session. And I'm going to add some other dignitaries from the legal field. And I'll put you on the spotlight to discuss this idea with them. Because this is actually giving goosebumps, because democracy ki Bharat, and you can just gonna give some sort of message to people, right? This is something very amazing and different. And
I think this idea actually comes from the fact that when I've seen, like, there's no unity as such when we see around, like even in your families.
Yeah, exactly.
But marriages or Bharat is something that unites people. So an idea can actually penetrate where everyone who has different opinion can come together and discuss. So that Bharat is something which connects people in your family.
Exactly. Surely we're gonna discuss it further for sure. But I think for this, I'm gonna wrap up the rapid fire round. But sir, on a more formal note, would you like to give some motivating words to the fresh graduates of 2020 or 2020 batch or 2021 batch, plus the law students who are into the initial stages of law school, because COVID came with all of a sudden, right? It came with traumas, it came with tragedies. So would you like to say something to them as to if they're feeling very low, very demotivated, so any sort of strong words for them?
See, I'll tell you, when I graduated, I wrote something. So when I graduated, I don't have it right now with me. I can share it with you later. But I wrote about a person who's standing on the riverside and looking at the vast water, and he is like a rower who has never swung the oars, or he has never actually been on a boat before. And now his whole duty, his whole job is to enter the water and row the, oars in the water and reach somewhere. And when he sees that, he's scared because he always feels that there are so many people who enter this big, deep water. They are lost. Some are misdirected. Some are lost somewhere, and some make their journey. And then I have used this, okay, somebody who is successful is like a sailor who's sailing the ship in the deep waters. So every rower who begins his journey in the water wants to be the sailor sometime, but he's always scared about what the water will bring. But despite all the fear of his mind, he'll still enter the water and he'll row the oars in the water. And with his lessons learned before, with all the acumen that he has, he need to trust his ability and enter it, and then just start swinging his oar, rowing his boat, and you would have a lot of things, but that is what the file is all about. Because definitely there is a chance of you getting misdirected, there's a chance of you getting lost, but I mean, these are the odds which are involved. So you don't need to be fearing anything. You don't need, I mean, there is definitely the fear that exists, but that fear is of something which is unknown. So you need to discover yourself. And I would say that many people would have thought about pursuing judiciary, pursuing something or the other, or doing something else, but they are still confused. So I think make up your mind, because if you want to do something, then focus on it completely without being in two boats at one time, because that is a short route to disrupt the the journey that you're starting to make. So, and another thing that would be there that I would like to say is that if you're like your family tells you do judiciary or do something and you feel yourself at loss, and after 10, 5, 2 years, 4 years, you think that you may have done that, you could have done that, you would have been that. So if you still not sure, and if you still think that you're not doing what is required out of you, then you should actually make the choices available to yourself. And for by that I mean you should clear something so that it gives you your moral boosters. So that is very important. So I think it's not good to be confused, because in this profession you are, it's a profession of decision, and people comes to you because they need to be confirmed with what they have in their mind. If you sound confused, then it is not good for you and for your reputation as a lawyer. But you will only sound not confused and confident when you have started to look in one direction. And there is a very good book called Progress Pilgrim, where the author describes the journey of a rower who's looking in one direction but rowing the boat in another. So you should always have your boat and your eyes one way, and that is a short way of looking. And you will get all the imagine you'll get all the sort of bad negativity around you. You will feel that you're not making progress. You will feel nothing is happening. But this is actually what you call that breaking the cocoon and coming out of it, because these are the things that should rather make you feel confined, and you need to come out of that comfort zone. So I think if that time comes to you, you will think that you're on the right path. That is what I would like to say.
That's actually a good piece of advice for the fresh graduates, the students who are into initial stages. But sir, one more thing, would you like to add some light on this concept that even if you're not getting anything, so you can start doing some other things as well. Like if you're not getting internships, you can start doing other things. So just a few words for them who are actually feeling very sort of demotivated because they're not getting internships in good firms or the good litigating chambers. So what sort of things they can actually start doing?
See, I'll tell you, like I had, like some people wanted to intern at the chamber where I worked. So I tried to put in word for him, but my senior did not allow him, because he said, look, it's all virtual. You wouldn't learn anything. I wouldn't be able to give time because I'm very busy, and you would not be, because since you will be okay expecting you to send your link. So I think that is a best thing right now, to not, it's better not to waste your head on something like this, where you know that you're not learning anything. Because my senior was like, in that respect, yeah, you will not learn anything. So why should I give you and allow you to be in the chambers? And secondly, if you're not able to get good internships, then the problem is that you this is a problem that you feel even afterwards you graduate, that you need somebody to push you and tell you what to do. But legal profession is something where you are actually, your success is directly proportional to the idea of how you handle your freedom, because you're free, but you might be thinking of getting internship, spending too much time looking for it, and in that you are not making good use of the time. And law is becoming very interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary. So read about how technology is going to affect your coming age and how technology can be understood with regard to other laws. For example, look at the way, look at the way Facebook and Twitter fight was going on with the government. So, try to read about it, try to write about it, try to know about it more. Look about, read about all the aspects of law which directly affects an individual's daily life. For example, look about how your mobile phone, what you are looking at continuously, is something that if you are arrested for a crime tomorrow and somebody wants to take your phone, and there is and you might be availing your right of self-incrimination, but how does it, are you able to do that? So there's so much to discover that you should not rely on internship. Basically, internships do help you to get a good job, which is no doubt true. If you're in a good law firm, you're able to charm upon the partner that you're working with because of your work. But if you're not getting it, then you should push yourself more, and you should read more. You should try to read about technology and whatever things that interest you. If you're interested in academia, then you should focus on writing good articles that I mentioned at the beginning, that you should focus on writing big long articles for good journals. If you want to do judiciary, then read about judiciary and all this stuff. But if you want to go with the law firm and everything, then I think that is somewhere the problem would be of recommendation, and law firm would take, if they're not taking a lot of people already in. So the best thing is to actually start looking for law firms and look at the specialized area, what kind of work they do. So start developing that expertise. So tomorrow, supposedly there is an opening, you can write to them, look, during this lockdown, I applied to your law firm, I did not get it, but I knew what kind of work you were doing, and I started reading it, doing my own research, and please take me for an interview. So that will, when the day will open for interviews, you would have a better chance of proving how you utilize this time in order to make yourself the best applicant for the job that you're applying to. So that is what my advice would be to people who was facing problems with internships.
Yeah, so that's actually good to know that you actually threw some light on this, because if you're not getting an internship, you can start doing some other things as well. Like you can start writing, you can start reading, and yes, you can just start indulging in something. Like if you want to intern at some sort of place, right? You can actually check and like what sort of areas of specialization does that have, right? So that you can just start working on it. You can start doing some sort of course on it, or you can just even start reading upon it, so that after this, this pandemic is over and like you're back to those physical internships, so you can just approach that person and tell them like what sort of work you have started doing, right? So this gonna help them. So I think that was a good piece of advice for those who are actually very confused, demotivated. And I must say that you're available on LinkedIn. So if the viewers just want to ask some further questions to Mr. Siddharth, so they can actually contact them on LinkedIn. Sir is available and sir will reply them for sure. So with this, we wrap up the session on a very positive note. And thank you so much once again for joining, sir.
You're welcome for inviting me.
Thank you, sir.